It's not quite game week. We're getting there. It's the week before game week. So if you've got a college football team that's playing this Saturday, good for you. And it's game week for you. But for Nebraska fans, just hang on. We are just 1 week away from that special
9
week.
days.
What's that?
9 days.
9 days. Yes. It's a Thursday, that opener in Minneapolis. Welcome to Huskers Live right here at the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you all being here. Comments and questions are welcome. As you know, super chats as well. Please support the channel and help us keep going. 135 episodes in with Greg Peterson from Husker Online. Greg, how's it going tonight?
Hey, just trying to stay cool. 3-4 straight days over 100 degrees. So it's still 100 degrees right now at 6 o'clock, 6:07. So, yeah.
Yeah, we just concluded our Iowa show, and our Iowa guy was saying the same thing about it being like 105 degrees. And yeah. I guess I just don't make that connection between that kind of heat in Iowa and Nebraska, because here in Ohio, it's pretty much held steady around 85 degrees.
They're lucky.
Just basically the whole summer.
Yeah, it was 102 earlier, about an hour ago. It's still 102, and it was 104 yesterday. It's not pleasant, and ironically, the team scrimmaged on Saturday, but then had Sunday and Monday off, so they kind of missed the extreme heat until today, and so they got a good practice in that heat finally, and
I would hope, since we're 9 days away from the opener in Minneapolis, that things will cool down by then.
Well, luckily it's in Minneapolis, so it should be a little bit cooler there. But no, they're saying we got a couple more days left of this, which actually is putting Thursday night high school football in jeopardy right now. But it should start to cool down a little bit on Friday around here.
Right this second in Minneapolis, it is 97.
Yeah, so not much different. Yeah.
But if we look at the forecast, let's see, by next Thursday, 89. It's too hot for football, but that's what it is. Although it's a night game. By nighttime, it should. That's the high. 67, the overnight low. So maybe by game time, it's 80, 78, something like that. And we'll be dropping.
Yeah, should be comfortable.
Right, folks, appreciate you being here for another Huskers Live here at the Voice of College Football. Bring in some family, some friends, some Husker fans, college football fans with you. We do this each and every Tuesday at 7 o'clock Eastern and 6 Central. Well, this is not necessarily football per se, but it's football related. When the guy that runs the whole show, the president, leaves the university. So Ted Carter has left Nebraska for Ohio State, and that was just announced today. And I see that he started at Nebraska in 2020. I don't know if he was with the school before that, but he started as president in 2020.
Yeah, late 2019, I think it was. But that news just broke as we were finishing up our last interview after practice this morning. So, kind of ironically, there, our own Steve Sipple was on the phone with Sean saying that he didn't think it was very big news. But Ted Carter had a lot to do with bringing Matt Rule here. They go back since Matt Rule's days at Temple, and Admiral Carter was at Navy in the same role, and has done a lot for the university in his short time here. So. We're sorry to see him go. He really seemed like a really good dude. And, I guess money talks, and Ohio State must have been a little bit more appealing to him. So, we all wish him the best.
I'm sure I would have found out not long after, but I found out because a Nebraska fan shot me, I think it was our buddy Cole, shot me a DM on Twitter to say, this is who we lost today. And he was pretty upset about it, it seemed. Like he thought he was a really great president.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah. And it was, it was really friendly to the football program, obviously, because he's got football in his past and his history. And it was like I said, he was a really good dude, and he did a lot for the university.
What's his football past?
I believe he played college football himself, and then he had a career in the Navy, and then started going down the the academic administration role. So,
yes, he did. Wikipedia all over it. Already has Ohio State University. So now it's a big national search, I'm sure, to find his successor and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to tell right now. It just was announced just a short time ago. So.
All right, folks, 9 days away from football. As you look at the football team as it stands right now with just over a week until kickoff in Minneapolis, any positions that still need to be figured out? Well, not just, I'm sorry to cut you off, Greg, not just starting positions, but any kind of playing time or guys making an impact that are pushing for more playing time?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot coming out. Like I mentioned, they scrimmaged on Saturday. They had their second of 2 allowed scrimmages in fall camp, and Matt Rule talked to us after that. And one interesting thing we found out is that Gabe Urban was the number 1 running back right now, and that Emmitt Johnson is the 3rd down back, and kind of the interesting thing was that Anthony Grant, who everybody had penciled in as the number 1 guy, apparently has had some trouble holding onto the ball lately. But obviously he's got all the talent in the world, and he cleans that up, and they can trust to put him out there. He'll be a big part of it as well. So that was it was surprising to most of us when we heard about that. But that was the biggest takeaway. And then the starting kicker job that's been up in the air right now, true freshman out of Omaha West Side, Tristan Ovano would be your starting kicker if we had to play a game tomorrow night. So those were 2 positions that you kind of heard definitive things about. And then another intriguing one would be that Coach Rule was asked about one of the defensive end starting spots, and true freshman Cameron Linhart is right there with Blaze Gunnarsson. Basically called them both starters. So you're already seeing 2 incoming freshmen that are already making an impact right there. Then you got a lot of guys in the secondary all battling for spots, and I think that'll shake itself out more this week. And most of those other linebacking spots are pretty much solidified, and the defensive line is, besides like that defensive end slot. He says he's got 3 starting jack linebackers, which is also nice. So you're going to have a lot of rotation there. Offensive line, we talked to Coach Satterfield today, and he feels comfortable that they have 7 to 8 guys right now that they can trust to go out there and do the job. And we talked about the running back room. Jeff Sims obviously is the guy at quarterback, but Coach Rule also said that he feels comfortable either using Heinrich Harburg or Chubba Purdy. Both of those guys are neck and neck. That if something would happen to Jeff Sims, that he would be totally comfortable with either one of those guys in there. And then wide receiver, as we know, has been an interesting position with some attrition going on there as of late, and with Marcus Washington that's been banged up. You're probably going to be counting on definitely, when Marcus Washington's ready to go, and Billy Kemp, obviously, and Isaiah Sia Castaneda would be your older guys. And, some of these younger guys are going to be forced into action, say like a Malachi Coleman and guys like that. Tight end, obviously, you got Thomas Fedoni and Nate Borkature. And God, you'd really like to have Eric Gilbert out there, but his waiver is still on hold, and it's not looking good right now to have Eric Gilbert available this season right now as we speak.
We are 9 days away from the kickoff in Minneapolis, just about this time of night, probably about an hour away from kickoff in Minneapolis, and the much anticipated opener against the Golden Gophers, and another Big Ten opener for Nebraska. They've made a habit of that. Illinois 2 years ago, Northwestern last year, opening up against a Big Ten opponent and a Western Division opponent. So a big game right out of the gate for Matt Rule and company. And of course, right after the game, we will have post-game right here at the Voice of College Football with Justin Adams. And Justin is swinging by to give us his takes on the Huskers. Justin, what's going on?
How's everybody doing? Enjoying the show so far? Just kind of hanging out and still taking in the Ted Carter news. That was not the ideal thing to wake up to, but huge impact there. But again, it's not going to affect the short term too much with what we're going to see on the field next week in the season. It's going to be on Rule, so not too concerned about it just yet. Just ready for the season to get here. So it's kind of staying in tune with what kind of is going on in these post game practices and trying to figure out, Rule's idea and what kind of he's going with, because he's keeping the depth chart close to the vest, because when he mentioned it the other day, he said that he will put one out and it will be a real one when it comes out. So that's about what we know with that. So.
Yeah, and he joked that he'd never been asked about the depth chart more any other time in his career.
I know. Yeah, that's definitely something that happens around this time every year, just nonstop.
Absolutely.
We're almost there, so the excruciating wait is almost over.
And he's also not been the head coach at a place like Nebraska before.
Yeah. His Carolina is definitely not quite as insane as our fan base.
No, neither Baylor nor Temple.
Nope,
no.
Not even close. Yeah. So
what?
No offense, but
yes,
sometimes we got to stay.
If you love the Owls or the Baylor Bears, no offense, but it's not the same deal. I'm also seeing reports out of practice that Jeff Sims' accuracy looks good, that he's working on it, and that seems to be something that's coming along.
Absolutely. Yep. Coach Satterfield was asked about it today, and he said that ideally he'd like to see about 65% accuracy from him for the season, and thinks things would be rolling along pretty good if he can achieve that.
Yeah, I think that's super reasonable. Considering, like I said on before the QB preview, the system, I have a good feeling that they're going to scheme specifically for his strengths, because Rule was so adamant about getting him. He was his first priority. So I'm hoping the scheme will play to his strengths, and that'll also benefit him in a lot of ways on top of the coaching with his mechanics and stuff. So,
and please hold on to the ball.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we know with Anthony Grant, that's definitely being looked at heavily.
Yeah, you got to be able to trust those guys out there to hold on to the ball. So.
That's been our kryptonite. I don't remember when we won the turnover battle.
Been a while.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a good question. For the entire season, when has the plus minus gone on Nebraska's side? It's been pre-Adrian Martinez, I would guess, for sure.
Shoot, I hope it's not back to Pelini days, but I doubt it. It's probably Mike Riley days, I would imagine.
I don't know.
Nah, even then, that might be a stretch, actually. Just we had a winning record in there somewhere, I think.
Yeah, Mike Riley, 1 year.
Yep.
2016.
It was, I'll take it.
Yeah, 9-4 would work again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
To get things started.
Yep.
Jeff Sims at 57.5% for his career. So 65% would be a noticeable climb for him.
Yeah, I think, he ran the ball more at Georgia Tech than he's going to be running the ball at Nebraska. So, yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of creativity necessarily in their passing attack. So I think there was a lot of factors at Georgia Tech that kind of worked against them that won't work against them here. So it is a steep climb, but I just think it's doable based on everything. If it was just mechanical or just him as a quarterback, it would of course take more time. But I just that is probably why Rule knew he could bring him in and just kind of flip him into what he wanted him to be. So
I agree 100%.
Cornhusker 49 brings up a good point. With the negative turnover ratio of past seasons, that's most of us tend to look at the offense to blame, but that's also the defense not taking the ball away at the rate that it should, that a Nebraska defense should.
More importantly, I believe that's attributed to the lack of pass rush. The pass rush will take pressure off of the defensive backs and put them in a better position to force some turnovers, kind of keep them from getting on an island out there. So I think there's one method to that, and that's just to try to get some kind of pressure. And we have a lot of guys who are going to be moving around, and I think going to be confusing a lot of trying to create confusion on the offense, because he's got a lot of guys that are going to be moving from linebacker down to the line and up to the DB position. So a lot of movement.
Yeah, you could hear Coach Satterfield talk about that today. That it's hard to play against their defense because they're moving around all the time and
exactly
giving them different looks about every play.
It's exciting because Chen's brought in that bend don't break defense, but it seemed to break a lot. So I'm glad that we're getting somebody in here who's just worried about fixating their scheme towards the opponents and not thinking that their scheme is just going to survive, a transition to a new conference.
Yeah.
I am scurrying through the year-to-year stats to look at the Nebraska turnover ratio.
I'll see if I can pull that up.
-3 last year.
Actually
-5 the year before.
Yeah.
-11. And that was in the COVID year of 2020 with only 7 games played. Didn't they go 2-5 or 3-5? Maybe they went 3-5. They either had 7 or 8 games, and they were next to last in the country in turnover ratio that season.
Not surprised. I'm actually surprised that last year was only -3.
Yeah, it was only -3.
It shocks me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I
-5 too. So maybe Riley did get it done. I don't know. I'm gonna try to look it up, but kind of with the other stuff in practice, Greg, if you don't mind me asking a quick question, kind of what was kind of the overall theme with the players? I know they said they haven't gone through the facilities a ton yet because they're still working so hard in practice. But looking at that, is that something that you think is going to definitely help recruiting? I know it's helping in recovery. We had guys in the press conference mention it today, the recovery aspect of it, but it looks amazing, but I can only imagine in person it's 10 times better.
Yeah, no, the whole team actually got a tour of the whole place yesterday.
Okay. I thought one of them. Go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry.
All the training staff has already moved in, and
Nice.
Everything's ready to go there. Yeah, it does sound just amazing with all the options that they have there, and yeah, and then the locker room, they've moved into the new locker room, and that's amazing as well. So yeah, it's just going to be a huge recruiting tool here for the future. Starting now, starting the first home game when you're going to have official visitors on campus and unofficial visitors, and they're going to be the first ones, with eyes on the new facilities. So,
Brandon Baker, September 16th.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting when you talk to those recruits on their post visit weekend and hear what they have to say about everything. I mean, obviously we've only been able to see it from the outside, but it looks amazing from the outside. And we can't wait to get the media room finished off in there so we can move in there permanently. And it's moving along, and you can tell. I mean, we only got to talk to a couple of players today, but you can tell both Ethan Piper and Barrett Lindentroff were both extremely impressed with what they saw.
Yeah, and I think the good test is going to be Brandon Baker September 16th, because he's seen all the top facilities in the country. So, he's a 5-star lineman. That would be a huge get. So I'm curious to see what he thinks on it too, since again, he's toured the best facilities in the country.
Yeah. And I think right now, I mean, obviously everybody tries to outdo everybody, but right now I'm sure that it would be consensus that Nebraska has the absolute best facilities right now in the country.
Agreed. Yeah.
Justin Adams joining us tonight on Huskers Live. You can join Justin after the Minnesota game for our post game here at the Voice of College Football, and after each and every Huskers game right here at the Voice of College Football. GBR, here's your stat. You can't bring up a stat, and if I don't know it, I got to go searching to just know.
Hey, now we know.
And you both nailed it. So the last winning season, not coincidentally, was the last time that Nebraska had a plus in the plus minus turnovers. They were +5 in 2016 when they went 9-4. They are minus 28 since.
That is insane. Just, I mean, correlation equals causation right there. Pretty simple.
Yeah,
that's it.
And I do believe that, I do want to see the 3-3-5 in the Big Ten, but I do think that alone will cause some headaches, just something they're not used to. But just besides him moving people around, just the scheme itself, and just interested to see how that plays out in the Big Ten. And Michigan kind of.
And thinking of the timing of the turnovers, obviously, has been even beyond that, just net number. The Adrian Martinez, the blindside sack against Iowa, driving the ball down the field to try to win the game a couple years ago. The escape from the pocket down by a score against Illinois on the final drive of the game when he coughed it up, and that would have possibly put them in position to tie the game against Illinois. The Michigan State end of the game turnover.
OT.
Yes, overtime that ended the game. Yes, it's more the placement of the turnovers.
I think the biggest one, too, was the Michigan game at home, where all he needed to do was get the first down and get down, and he fought for an extra yard or two and ended up losing the ball. Michigan ended up winning the game. Yeah, that was probably that win would have been massive right there.
Yeah, a lot of them would have been. I mean,
Yep. Michigan State especially
chased around the whole season.
Yep.
Greg Vince wants to know, do you remember Daron Diedrick, I-back for the Huskers?
Of course I do. Absolutely.
Yes.
Out of Canada. He was a heck of a player. Yeah.
I remember him from when I was real little. I was young back then.
Well, now you're making me feel old.
Yeah.
I know. Sorry. My bad.
I remember him.
Full disclosure, I just need y'all to know that I don't fully remember, but vaguely.
No, he was definitely a very good I-back for Nebraska. And, if I'm not mistaken, I think his career was cut a little bit short. God. Yeah, I'm having a hard time recalling exactly what happened with him, but he definitely had potential to play at the pros. He might have had a chance there. Or did he might have played in the CFL as well. I'm not too sure on that.
He did. He was drafted into the CFL.
Okay.
Yeah. And I believe he, if I'm not mistaken, I'm seeing here, passed away in
Yeah.
I just didn't realize it was still June. I didn't realize it was that that recent.
Yep, absolutely. That was sad news to hear. We lost a few players over this last off season. So yeah, Husker family was hurt there by that.
Yep, but great player.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. 1,000-yard season, another one almost at 1,000, 26 career touchdowns. Played for some great teams, of course.
And sorry, Mark, if you're about to go to another point, I'll wait on the question.
Keep going.
I was just going to ask. So I heard too about Emmitt Johnson taking over the kick return, taking the kick return duties. Is that fully set in stone, or is it kind of one of those things that they're just flirting the idea out there?
No, I think that that was confirmed by Coach Rule on Saturday. But those spots are always going to be under fierce competition
for sure.
But he was singled out as that, and then obviously Billy Kemp is the punt return specialist with all the records that he's set in his career already.
Yeah.
So you got to figure that those are the two guys there in your return game.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Emmitt Johnson, though, because just looking at his film, you can just see how shifty he is in the open field, especially. Doesn't have the greatest top-end speed, but he makes up for that with lateral quickness. It's insane.
Yeah, and he's had a really good camp, too. And he's put himself right there in the mix for, getting playing time here in the back.
Reps at the running back, yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Greg, how was the high school football over the weekend?
It was a competitive game. Those trio of Husker commits did not have the greatest of games. No touchdowns between the three of them. I could pull up the stats here. Let's see. It's not pretty, and they're the only three Husker commits that played here in week 0. So Danny Kalen went 22 out of 35 for 226 yards. No touchdowns. He did run the ball quite a bit. They don't have those stats posted here. Devon Hall had 4 catches for 25 yards. And Isaiah McMorris had 7 catches for 57 yards. So wasn't quite the opening game that we were expecting to see out of this very explosive bunch of recruits. But Isaiah McMorris hadn't even practiced until Wednesday of last week. He'd been battling a hamstring, and Devon Hall had been battling some other various injuries. So there weren't a lot of reps that those guys got to take together leading up to that week 0 game last week. But I'm going to see them again this Friday against Omaha North. So you'll have 5 Husker commits on the field playing each other in that game. So I expect Bell West to fix the sloppiness that they had going on, and that should be a barn burner.
It's got to be nice that you can actually watch players on the Husker roster play high school football in Nebraska, because we're finally recruiting heavy back there. So
yeah, I was talking to my boss about that last week. I was like, 5 commits on the field in one game. When's the last time you saw that?
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
We recruited Arizona, Florida, and California instead of sticking at home, but it's happy to see that they're doing that, because that's what made Nebraska great back in the day is the home talent.
And the other big commit, not on the Nebraska side, but was the Iowa, the number 2 ranked player in the state, correct? Was in that game last weekend?
Yeah. Michael Bird, he didn't do much for me.
Yeah.
And he had 1 catch. They threw him the ball 3 times, and pretty much was invisible the whole night.
Love to hear it.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Huskers Live right here. Every Tuesday we get together at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, and would appreciate you letting folks know. If you can imagine this, there are people out there that have no idea that we're here with Greg, and we're here with Justin, and we're talking Nebraska football. So you are our voices out there on social media. So let people know that we are here and we're ready to attack the season. We'll do a full Minnesota preview next week. Justin, I'll hit you up on this, both of you, of course, about the Golden Gophers. Anything on them yet? I can't say that I've done a deep dive on Minnesota. I have looked at them a few times this summer in regards to Ethan Kalikimanis taking over as the starting quarterback. He played quite a bit last year and hit up Wisconsin for over 300 yards in the final regular season game. But anything on Minnesota?
I think Minnesota has a solid team. Of course, they're going to be tough, but I know a lot of people are just pinning us as this big underdog. And no, Minnesota does. I mean, their Vegas odds might not indicate that they have a huge shot for the Big Ten West, but it's also because their schedule is so daunting. But I do think that people are gassing them up a little too much. It's always seemed to me that Minnesota, even when Minnesota is outside of the one year they drubbed us, we still kind of play them close pretty regularly. So I've never thought Minnesota was that far ahead of us, all things considered. I always thought we could out-talent them. It was just coaching. And so I don't think that they bring superior talent to the field necessarily. So I just think there's a lot yet to be seen on that before we can kind of gauge, because it's just, it's fun to gauge, it's fun to try, but it's just that going into it. Just I think not a lot of people are accounting for that too.
Yeah, and if you talk to the team, they don't really expect much different than what they've seen from Minnesota over the last few seasons anyway. They don't really hide much, and they do what they're successful at doing. So I think just a little bit difference in personnel, but you're pretty much going to see the same schemes that you've been seeing from them.
Yeah, I'm actually very confident in that game. So I don't know if that could be just the red, the scarlet colored glasses, but we'll see.
I think it should be a pretty competitive game either way. So
it'll be close. And then if we can just come out and win a close one immediately, that will turn out to be the biggest win I can remember in a long time.
Yeah.
So
I will be surprised if it's not close.
Yeah, especially going back to what we were talking about with ball security. If Nebraska can hang on to the ball, it should be a pretty darn close game. So
just got to hope the growing pains are minimal, just with a lot of new pieces. I think that's what we thought was happening with the Northwestern game last year. Turns out that wasn't the case, but still kind of prepared for that, of course, to get better as the season goes, but hopefully nothing too self-inflicting to where we kind of feel like it's recurring still. But the way these guys are in tune and speaking to what he's making them go through in practices, he's just basically just drilling them, callousing their mind and making sure that they can push through in this heat and stuff like that. They're doing a good job of balancing indoor outdoor, to prevent heat casualties and stuff like that. But he's really putting an emphasis on just making these guys work as hard as they can in practice, so the game comes easy. And naturally, when you're not thinking about saving your air for the next rep, you can just play, to the ball, and you can play, 100% on every single play. And then you stop thinking about the fatigue and you start focusing on reacting more on the field. So I don't think that can be understated either. That's huge.
Yeah, by all accounts, the football part of it has looked good on both sides of the ball. And, the things that they've been working on where they've had some struggles with is just the technical type of things, like just getting into the huddle, getting in and out of the huddle, and getting substitutions in and out in a timely fashion. And so that's some of the stuff that they've been working on. And it sounds like that got much better here Saturday in scrimmage number 2.
Yeah, because there's no telling how many of those drives that we had previously that could have been touchdowns. It seemed like every time we would get some momentum, we would, on a first down, have some kind of penalty on the O-line or some kind of movement, illegal movement penalty, and it would always set us back. And then it was just playing from behind constantly. So, that all of those things are going to just those alone are going to make such a huge impact if they get those switched around.
Absolutely.
All right, folks, we invite your comments and questions. Leave them there in the chat. We talk Huskers with you every Tuesday. We're 9 days away from Minnesota, and we can finally stop talking about this is what should have happened last year, or this is what didn't happen for the last 5 years, or this is what should happen coming up. We'll be able to talk about an actual football game that we watched. in the last couple of days.
Yeah, it makes it super difficult right now because of like we said, he's not giving us any kind of inclination to the depth chart. At least we would have that to talk about. But it's one of those things. I think the players and everybody are just like so locked in and focused on game week. That's just really what they're talking about in these post practices is just the recovery stuff and then the amount of work that he hasn't putting in, more so than kind of giving us any tell as to what to necessarily expect, unless you're watching kind of the practices and seeing what they're going through there.
Yeah,
so go ahead, Greg.
Well, I was just going to say that, these next couple of days are really going to be hitting it really hard. And, with a short week next week, it's kind of interesting that Friday will be the weekly press conference, game week press conference with, Coach Rule and then some players coming up to sixth floor in the press box on Friday, which used to be on Mondays, which is now going to be moved during the regular season here. It'll be on Tuesdays. So we'll have that to look forward to on Tuesdays coming up here once they start rolling into regular game weeks. So a little bit different. And then, they'll treat, next week they'll practice hard on Monday. And then, Tuesday, Wednesday, they'll do their game preps, their walkthroughs and everything. And they're playing Thursday night. So,
yep, it's a short turnaround, but that's kind of a testament to what he's having them doing. I feel like he's got a perfect system in place to be able to work them as hard as he can, as long as he needs to, and then just have them ready and recovered by game week.
Yep. And I believe today he had said that he uses Tuesday, which would have been this Tuesday today, that it's kind of like a scrimmage, but it's more, like a slow-paced walkthrough type of a game type situation where they kind of simulate a game. So that's kind of what they were doing today at practice.
He wants to make sure that they're not too tired on Tuesdays so they can tune into the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
A little silver lining.
Justin nailed it.
Always looking for that silver lining. For sure.
So no depth chart, meaning we don't know who comes off the bench. I shouldn't even bring it up, I know, if quarterback number 2 needs to come into the game, we don't know who that is.
Chuba. I think it's going to be Chuba.
Yeah, actually, I agree with that, but it would depend on situation too, on what you're kind of facing out there, because they're different quarterbacks.
Yep.
Chuba is going to be more of your pro guy, or your pro set guy that's going to drop back and sit in the pocket, where Heinrich is going to get out there and move the pocket around. So 2 different type of guys, but 1A, 1B at the moment. But we'll probably have a depth chart out on Friday when we have Coach Rule's press conference. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
that's the consensus thought.
Yeah, to your point, Harburg does have a chance just because, like you mentioned, his mobility and his willingness to use his legs, because you got to think they're probably going to be looking for someone that can somewhat simulate what Jeff Sims does. I mean, Chuba can move too, but whatever one fits best in replacing his role is probably who they're going to rock with.
Yep. We're not putting the jinx on Jeff Sims now, are we, talking about this?
That's why I said maybe I shouldn't bring it up, but Justin had said about no depth chart, and I was just curious.
Oh, it's coming back to me.
Any insight into who would be coming off the bench?
We played some mental gymnastics and made it my fault. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we did. We got it out of
that's fine.
My lap and threw it on you.
I'll take that. I'm going to be the one facing him in the post game, so I'll take that.
That's it. It's the post game, and it's the new guy right there, everyone. If anything happens to Jeff Sims, it's not me.
Yeah,
no.
Unfortunately. I mean, that's all I'm taking, though. I Nebraska's fan base is relentless. I don't need any more than that. No.
Justin, let us know what is going on over at your channel.
Yeah, so right now we are currently having we spent this off season, because last year we went into it really we were just 2 buddies who talked a lot of football, and everybody said we should have a podcast because we were always arguing about football. We bought some mics, set it up, and then last October. We just jumped into it, straight up live streaming on Sundays, giving fantasy football advice and stuff like that. So if anybody's into fantasy football, that's what we cover, both dynasty, redraft. We go into not only the NFL guys, but the upcoming rookies and stuff like that. And, we took like I said, we took this time off to upgrade our quality and really kind of have a fixed thing going into the season. So we're going to be doing a couple uploads per week and a live every Sunday, 2 hours before the games. So you can hop over to Cheesy Corn Sports and subscribe there, or like the channel if you like the content. And then, like I said, Sundays, 2 hours before the game, get all your questions in to us and we'll help you answer them. So
I've been in the same fantasy football league since 1989.
Oh, it's actually impressive because it's really hard to keep a group together. I mean, I had a dynasty draft 2 days ago and mine fell apart 2 hours for the draft. I had to get 3 replacements in there. So
1989.
Yeah.
I wasn't born yet.
All a bunch of us, all high school buddies. Yeah.
Nice. That's really impressive. I didn't know
that. I thought that there was fantasy football in 1989.
Hey, I was commissioner back then, and I used to have to, I'd pull out the sports section of the Monday paper, and I'd be sitting in class as UNL, and I'd be writing up tallying up everybody's fantasy scores there while I'm sitting in class. So
that sounds like a lot of work. Man,
that's before any of that was computerized.
It's a cool experience, though. It gives you a lot of know-how into what goes into it. But
yeah.
I was in baseball fantasy leagues not long after that, like 91, 92 in that range. But I didn't think that there was, well, it only makes sense that it could be applied to any sport. But I don't remember hearing about football fantasy leagues for a long time after I was in baseball fantasy leagues.
Well, baseball had been around for a long time.
Yes.
I mean, probably early 80s. They were doing baseball roto stuff. So, yeah.
Yes.
It's hard to play if you're busy, though.
I graduated in 87, and the bulk of the guys in my league all graduated in 1988. And we were kind of playing around with the idea then, and we officially started one in 1989. And, and most of those years, we'd always get together, draft in person. And, now since COVID, we've done it. All of our drafts have gone to just, everybody's sitting at their own house online. But I had the last 2 drafts I hosted here at my house, and they went off great. But I kind of miss that now.
That's a good time. Fantasy baseball is a little bit, if you have a busy schedule, it's tough. Because it's an everyday ordeal. Same with basketball.
Yeah, that's why I don't do it. I
used to love fantasy baseball.
I like the weekly.
Yeah, I haven't touched it for 20 years, probably 15 years, probably. But there's actually an excellent ESPN 30 for 30 about the origin of fantasy sports, and they take it back to some group of guys in New York City, I think, back in the 70s that put together a fantasy baseball league, or rotisserie baseball at the time. And it's funny.
I was about to say it better not be after 1989 or Greg deserves his credit.
Well, no, it's just funny because, you hear all these so-called experts on, all the channels talking fantasy football. And it's like, hey man, I've been doing it way longer than you have. I don't need your advice.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I guess Greg won't be watching the channel. No, just
I was wondering who those people are that call into those shows. I got so-and-so. Who should I go with?
I'm going to bring you on.
If you're asking, you got problems.
And if anybody out there is wondering about the name Cheesy Corn, you've either figured it out or you just need to check it out, and we'll drop the link in the chat. So get on over there and check out Justin over on Cheesy Corn Sports.
I can explain that too. So he's a Packers fan, the diehard, and I'm a diehard Husker fan. So we threw it out there one day and stuck with it.
Or head to the channel to find out. That was the whole setup.
So you kind of cut out there for a second. I thought my internet was about to go out, so I missed part of that. So that's my fault.
So does he wear a cheese head and you wear a corn hat when you guys at it? Oh, okay.
But I absolutely would. Just if we get a winning season, I'll wear it all next year.
There you go.
I'll take that. I'll make that deal. I'll wear it on the post games too. Deal.
It's a weekly tradition that Greg gets asked to make a season prediction
Oh, I'm kidding me.
on Nebraska. We haven't gotten it tonight, but it'll come in here. Justin, do you make predictions, and have you made a prediction?
So I'm not a huge prediction guy because I'm one of those guys that's just like I'm always wrong, first off, and second off, like it's fun, but I think it's just a symptom of a lot of boredom. But I'm anywhere between like the absolute best case. Don't grill me for this, anybody. Absolute best case for me is 9-3, but I think realistically 7-5. I think 7-5, 8-4 is most likely, but I'm going to go 7-5 because I've learned my lesson previous years. But and I can bring up the schedule if you want me to pull up who I think we might lose to.
Well, Husker fans should be mighty happy with that. I know that we see predictions in here all the time for 8-4, 9-3, but let's be realistic. Not that it can't happen, but if they go 8-4 this year, people should be ecstatic.
Yeah, I mean 7-5 we should be, honestly. to be fair,
Mark knows what I'm sticking to.
I'm kind of curious to know, but yeah, I think Michigan, Michigan's going to be tough. Purdue always plays tough. Michigan State, Wisconsin, Iowa, and then we do have some sneaky games in there. That we always seem to slip up. One or two that we should win. Well, previous years have been more than that, but hopefully one or two. But if we can take care of business and maybe pull an upset or two. Like I think the quality of win is also going to matter. If we go 6-6, but we pull an upset against like a Michigan, I still think that's something everybody should be super, super excited about, even more so than going like 8-4. So
we've dropped the link in the chat to Cheesy Corn Sports, so check it out, folks, right here on YouTube.
Appreciate that, and thanks everyone who decides to check it out. And again, just like and subscribe if you like the content. And also do that here.
Yes, that would be nice too. Subscribe here. Yes.
Otherwise, you'll never know. Like if you're here still, so you're enjoying it. So,
and it's easy to hit the like button as well. That doesn't boost our egos. That's actually a YouTube algorithm that they want to see a lot of likes. So please hit the like button, because they actually put those two things together. People watched and then they hit the like button, so they must like it.
And it shows us how many are not subscribed and subscribed. So we like to reverse that.
On your next show, drop in a hearty bear down to your partner for me.
All right, we'll do. Yeah, he's gonna love that. He's going through it right now with the old Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers thing. So I'm a Texans fan, so I'm not doing much better.
Speaking of predictions, everyone, we've got our ACC predictions coming up right after this show over on the national channel. I always wait till the last minute, but I actually didn't this season wait till the last minute. Usually we unveil our predictions like the night before the season starts, but we're taking conference at a time each and every night throughout the week. So we present the ACC tonight, folks, so you can give me a call and tell me where I went wrong.
That's pretty much the calls you usually get. Nobody ever calls to agree with you. I've noticed that.
No doubt.
And then when they disagree with you, but it didn't go their way, then you never hear from them again.
I've heard some wild takes, so some of those is probably for the best. No offense, but you're probably not watching if you're that person. But
and then typically I only have about one or two interactions with somebody on Twitter that is completely ridiculous before I just let them know, please call the show. And I give them the link, call the show. And you know how many people have taken me up on that?
I would guess zero.
Nobody. They disappear when I say, you know what, we can debate this. Call the show.
Everybody on Twitter is an expert. That seems to be the trend. Everybody on Twitter knows more than anybody.
Yep.
So,
yes, it is.
But
Greg, beat the heat any way possible, whatever you need to do. When's the next time you need to show up at practice?
Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to hope for you that it cools off a little bit by then.
Yeah, it's supposed to, but we'll be inside anyway. So.
Oh, okay.
And finally in the air conditioning. I mean, this being in the concourse of the stadium, like today, it was probably 90 degrees inside there while we were waiting for coaches and players to come out. So
luckily it's been pretty overcast in Arizona because of the hurricane. The little bands are just throwing clouds but no rain, so it's been a little bit cooler and bearable lately.
Bearable meaning like 108?
Yeah, it was 117 for like 4 days a row there for a little bit last month. We didn't go under 115 for a little while. Anything below 110 I'm happy about. One day I was out there and I was like, it feels pretty good. And I looked and it was 105 degrees. And I'm like, dang, I've been here way too long. So
you need to put a coat on.
That's what I'm saying. Like I was actually, it feels good out here. And I was thinking maybe like 95. It was like 105, 106. So
when it hits like 80, you guys are going to be freezing.
Yeah. But I will say I'm from Houston and the humidity is 100 times worse.
Oh, yeah.
100 times worse. So I would rather take 118 than 100.
Really?
100% humidity. It makes you sweat so much more. It's more intense on the skin out here, but your insides like cook. It's like a sauna, and
that's
you just sweat.
Yeah, that's what we're going through.
That's not fun.
No,
at all. So it takes a lot out of you because you sweat so much. You got to constantly replenish those electrolytes even more so than you do kind of out here.
Yep. Sure do.
Everyone, you can catch Greg's work at Husker Online right here on YouTube or huskeronline.com. So you can just keep it right here on YouTube. You got player interviews, coaches interviews, everything from Matt Rule and the coaches, all the players, practice video, everything there, Husker Online. All right, guys, the next time we get together, we'll actually talk about a game that's coming up soon. So we're almost there.
It's exciting.
All right. Justin, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Greg, thank you for always making this work and making this happen. Without Greg, we don't have a show here. So thanks to Greg. Justin, again, for post-game, starting with the Minnesota game on the 31st, everyone. And we'll see you back here next Tuesday.
See you.